that we can ask for mercy and grace. And in doing so, you will pour out your eternal love upon each and every one of us. So, Father, we humbly come before thee and bow, seeking thee to guide us, to lead us, to help us fellowship one with the other, to help us understand what is being presented to us in love, one with the other. We ask you to give us wisdom and knowledge, give us understanding, and allow us to use it in the purpose that you have preordained us to do. Now keep us, O Lord, as we open our minds and our heart to accept what is going to be presented tonight in order that we may make a better society, aid and assist humanity, guide our children, and stay under the umbrella of your wings as you protect us from all of the chaos that is going on today. We pray for those children and their parents. We realize this is a trying time. 18 children killed at the hands of others in a violent act. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Now keep us in love and fellowship as we come to serve thee in the way that thou would have us to serve. And as we pray in thy son Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. So do we have the Brights with us yet? The Carl Bright, the Bright family singers from Charleston, South Carolina. Are you there, friends? They were having a bit of a connection challenge. They will probably be with us soon, I trust. If people, you're able, when we're on the screen, it's nice to be able to see one another. So if people are able to lift the veils, we actually can be in each other's presence more fully. That'd be great. Don't feel obliged, but I just wanted to mention that. And when the Brights arrive, they are the voice of Charleston, gospel singers with a deep, deep understanding of the history of music and how it served my Black brothers and sisters. So when they come, they'll bring a song. They're having connection difficulties. I want to say some opening words and then invite those who've gathered to say why they understand that we are here, or what, I might say, what speaks to them in particular. So as I think many of you know, we're approaching the 250th anniversary of the birth of our nation. As in, out of many, one, e pluribus unum, the sacred seal of our land, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, from sea to shining seas. As Tom Paine said, the task of America is a task of all humankind, to make these words, sister and brotherhood from sea to shining seas, real. So if we don't give up on this promise, then the question is, what can we do? And all it takes, I believe, is two or more to gather. We are more than two, and we represent a breadth and a fullness that is all American. So what I hope we can do tonight is to ask the question, can we work together to create a series of offerings? In the Center for American Studies, we don't speak of speeches or talks or presentations. We speak of offerings because everybody can give an offering. Can we bring something forward for our nation that takes up on the words of Dr. King, unearned suffering is redemptive. Unearned suffering is redemptive. And we'll come to a piece I wrote with Andrew, which goes into that, raises the question that if a nation or civilization is truly civilized, is it not based on service, on sacrifice, on suffering even, and on redemption, as Christ epitomized? So we'll come to that. I want to ask, Antonia is with us. If Antonia, if we might see you, and if you found anything from Zora Neale Hurston that is in the line of what we've been speaking about, anything that, if you can make yourself visible, and then we'll hear from others. What about this gathering this evening speaks to you in particular? And when people speak, it'd be nice to be able to actually see you, but whatever you're most comfortable. So Antonia, can you hear us? And might you bring us some words from Zora? And welcome, John. Welcome, John.
And Stuart, you have to stop sharing your screen so that the people can be seen.
Okay. Thank you. I thought it was already stopped. My apologies. Thank you. I think it stopped. Is it yours, Andrew? Do you have it up?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I have, hang on a minute. Hang on a sec. So how do I stop it? How do I stop the sharing?
I'll do it from this side.
I see. Okay. Okay. Good.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, so Antonia, are you there? Can you hear us? And might you bring us something from Zora? And also, what is of particular interest for you in this gathering this evening? So I don't know if Antonia can hear us or not. Let's go around the circle. Andrew, can you offer us let's just take a minute or two, because we'll go into this at greater length, but I always think it's valuable to hear from the periphery first, to hear what's around us and in the air. So Andrew, do you want to take a moment or two to say what you see this evening is about?
Well, thank you so much. And thank everyone for joining us. Today, as you may know, is the anniversary of Emmett Till's murder. However, I'm just going to read to you what I wrote back on Juneteenth earlier this year. On a hot Mississippi day in 1955, the mutilated body of 14-year-old Emmett Till was pulled from the Tallahatchie River. Days later, Jet magazine printed the unthinkable, the raw, unfiltered image of its open casket funeral, an image that shocked the world and galvanized the civil rights movement. And in one home in Macon, Georgia, that image did something even more personal. It terrified my mother into contemplating the unthinkable. Pregnant, separated from an abusive husband, and black in the segregated South, my mother saw in Emmett's bloated, disfigured body not just a lynched child, but a prophecy, a warning, a reminder that birthing a black son in America was an act of radical defiance or maybe reckless endangerment. She attempted to abort me, but his mother's courage stayed her hand. So I survived. And on April 24th, 1958, I was born, 3 years after Emmett Till's death. And on that same day that will later mark the tragic discovery of 11-year-old Adriana Young's body in a Guyanese hotel pool in 2025. Her killing allegedly linked to a ritualistic sacrifice. Today, her legacy lives on in the Adriana Young Guyana for the Children campaign, led by the Rise Ethiopia Foundation. It's an urgent international call for justice, child protection, and cultural remembrance. Rise Ethiopia Foundation is amplifying Adriana's story not as a statistic, but as a signal, a rallying point for global action. So, 70 years later, on May 25th of 2025, the world remembered George Floyd, whose murder in 2020 sparked global protests. His death marked a generational bookend to Emmett Till's. From Till's face and jet to Floyd's breathless final words captured on a cell phone, the thread of terror remains tightly wound. What do these three deaths, Emmett, Adriana, and George, tell us? They tell us while the tools have changed, print journalism, live stream police brutality, and now digital hashtags, the flesh remains vulnerable. They tell us that the myth of black invincibility is just that, a myth. Our children, our sons and daughters, remain sacrificial lambs on the altar of hate, power, and silence. But they also tell us something that media still matters, that truth, when shown without compromise, still stirs hearts, still changes minds. When Mamie Till Mobley said, "Let the world see," she didn't know she was setting fire to generations of doers and dreamers. I am one of them. This year, I turned 67. I survived my mother's fear. I survived America's hate and wars on black children. I survived the silence that follows tragedy, but Adriana Young didn't, and that haunts me. So here today, Stuart, I'm standing up for the children, for Adriana, and for Emmett, so that we can perhaps find a way to reconcile ourselves as we move forward to this celebration of America 250 to address this Platinum Jubilee. So thank you very much for allowing me to share.
Beautiful, beautiful. Friends, allow me, if you will, given what Andrew just brought, to insert a thread here that I think this is a perfect time to do it. And that is there something that unites us beyond something that has to do with the reality of the human spirit? The human spirit and its eternal journey. That is, if our striving is to be whole, complete, full, a truly human, humane being, and if the spirit is eternal, which means so we come back lifetime after lifetime, earth is the right place for love. We come back to this planet of love with our deeds. If this is a reality, and if we strive to become whole and full, imagine if those people who took the life of Emmett Till and the others, if they'd been introduced with a thought, a notion. John Adams said the American Revolution began in the hearts and minds of the people. Imagine if they'd been introduced to the notion of reincarnation, which Christ speaks of in the Gospels, Matthew referring to Elijah, John the Baptist who's come again. Imagine if they had been introduced to the notion of reincarnation, if that had become part of the ferment of their culture, As in one lifetime we're male, the next female. One lifetime we're Christian, the next Jewish. One lifetime we are Black, the next white. As we journey on, striving to become ever more whole, full, and complete. The American Revolution began in the hearts and minds of the people. Imagine if what Andrew had said, if those who took Emmett Till's life, as Queen Mother said, "Forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do." Imagine if they had this notion that part of being one human family is we get to live into and experience the destinies and the challenges of others. Imagine if those who have taken the lives of these individuals we've spoken to had this notion. From my side, that is one of the purposes I envision for this year-long series ahead of us, is to bring this forth now. I think the time is at hand. With that said, I see Antonia. And Antonia, do you have words? Welcome. Welcome, the Queen of Harlem. Do you have words, Antonia, whose background is both Native American and African American from Louisiana? Do you have words from Zora? And then we'll turn to the Bright Family Singers, and then we'll go around the circle that you could bring to us, Antonia, with your own thoughts for this idea of a year-long series as we look to the 250th anniversary of our nation, where we finished the revolution. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Antonia, you're muted.
Yeah, I can't.
We don't hear you, Antonia.
You can hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. So, there is a quote that I know that Stu really likes from, of course, you all know that I performed the one-woman play of the Life and Times of Zora Neale Hurston, is written by Lawrence Holder. I've been on the college circuit with that particular production. But there is a quote that I know that Stu likes from Zora when she says she's one with the universe and there's no other assurance. So I'm going to pull that up. Oh, she goes, "The stuff of my being is matter, ever changing." And I think this kind of deals with, as he mentions, with reincarnation. So she goes, "The stuff of my being." Let me make sure my mic is up so you all can appreciate. So you all, oops. So
we
you
can
all,
hear you clearly. We can hear
okay.
you clearly.
Okay, I'm sorry. So she says, "The stuff of my being is matter, ever changing."
Carl, hang on a sec. We're going to come in to you in a moment. Sorry, Antonia, are you there still?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Sorry. Start again if you would.
Okay, let me find. Okay, so she says, "The stuff of my being is matter, ever changing, ever moving, but never lost. So what need of denominations and creed to deny myself the comfort of my fellow men? The wide belt of the universe has no need for finger rings. I am one with the infinite and need no other assurance." But I can find the whole part of that. That's just a small part of it. That's from her Dust Tracks on the Road. It's like her autobiography. And she kind of literally there goes into like how she feels how her at the end of her life would be. And she was very clear that she would be in the universe and she would not be lost. Like she still will exist in substance. And it's a beautiful piece that she wrote at the end of her Dust Tracks on the Road. So I will look it up as you all continue kind of chatting.
Thank
I'm
you.
just
We'll come back to you.
Yeah, I was just trying to get the fullness of it.
Shall we continue and come back to you?
Yes, yes, please do.
So I
Respectfully, if
think,
I could go
friends,
next, I have my hand up.
Good. Please, John.
Apologize, I just have limited time tonight, as most
Thank
of
you.
us do. So, blessings to everybody, honorables. And again, thank you for everybody's work. And Andrew for inviting me again, as well as the gentleman in Concord who's looking so dapper with your beard and mustache. I like that. So I'm from the Caddo Indian tribe. I'm Native American. My grandfather is Michael Martin, Chief Silvermoon, the last recognized chief of the Caddo Indian tribe here in Oklahoma, Binger, Oklahoma. And so, Antonia, blessings, sister. I understand you're part Native American, so that's good. So and there may be others. So I just want to make everyone aware of, I'm also the chairman of the Commission for the World Conference of Mayors, Historical Black Towns and Settlements. And parallel, there's similar projects that we're all working on, that you guys are working on, and many of you may be aware of it. But one of those is the, like soccer, the red card campaign, if you've gone too far. And what that's about is the abductions and abuse and mistreatment of Indigenous people, focused predominantly on African American people. And we have, for the Native American side, our battle that we've been fighting for decades is the missing murdered Indigenous people and missing murdered Indigenous women. And this includes from children, babies, all the way up. And you may have heard or read even recently where they kidnapped a young lady and cut her into pieces, and they had to find her body in many different parts of the landscape. And that person is never, or whoever did that, has still not been caught. There's a law passed since, not in ancient times, but 1979, that if you go onto reservation land and you commit a rape, a murder, things of that nature, and you're a non-native, you cannot legally be prosecuted unless they agree to allow themselves to be prosecuted. And that's why so many horrific activities still take place there and around there. And we have the largest per capita of people being trafficked, kidnapped, and murdered of any race in the United States here in modern times. And those laws are still there. 2 years ago in Oklahoma City, I went and campaigned, and thank goodness it passed. There wasn't even, if you take a child from some of the reservations or here locally, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, so forth, in the general area, and where I live here in Lawton, Oklahoma, that if they take, let's say, a underage child, there was no alert to warn people that a child has been abducted. Keep your eye out for this Foot Explorer, whatever it might be. That wasn't even on the books. We were forgotten. And that recently has been passed, that now an alert does go out, and that's been happening in other cities. I've also been involved right now. The Moccasins Across America are a group of Native American people that have been walking near our honored friend, Andrew Williams in Los Angeles is where it started. And they're going up to DC, hoping to get in front of President Trump. And along the way, they're focused on taking back blessings and asking forgiveness for the lands and the people of the genocides that's happened to not just Native American, but all Indigenous people along the way. And as I'm sure many of you have read, they're finding hundreds and hundreds of murdered babies from Canada out through the US. So this is not a problem of old, as many of you know. It's still happening to our African American people, Indigenous people, Native American people, and we all need to work together to bring love and solutions. So I really appreciate everybody doing this, and my honored, dear, respected friend, Queen Mother, Bernice Atchison. So good to see you. Love you and love your hat. So, I just wanted to add that piece before I have to go. So thank you for allowing me this time to share our support of you and the things and projects we're working on and making positive differences with housing and medical facilities, etc. And that includes addiction recovery, etc., suicide prevention, post-traumatic stress, which could be considered as well from genocide and I can't think of the term right now, but generational trauma. That's the word. So generational trauma that's ongoing, and sadly, I see it with my nonprofit every single day, and we really have to find more solutions. God bless everybody. That's my input. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And sorry I didn't recognize you earlier. Thank you very much for all you're doing and how you're doing it, that I hear something upbeat despite what you're witnessing day in and day out. So thank you very, very much. We're grateful you can be with us for this time. We know you have many other things on your plate, and John has said that he would be one of the speakers as we look to this year-long forum. Shall we give, if Antonia, have you found the verse? Shall we give that to John to take with him when he departs?
Yes, I found it. I find it. So
Yeah, if you could send me a copy of that, and my information's in the chat, but respectfully, I have to go to another Zoom meeting at 7:30 my time.
yes, it's your time now.
John, we will send it to you, but go ahead, Antonia. Thank you, John.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Blessings.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for listening
Yes.
and everybody's work. Have a good weekend.
Aho, brother. Aho.
Aho. Aho.
So, this, of course, is in, as I mentioned, Zora Neale Hurston's autobiography. She's you know, literally sharing her life story, and then pretty much on the final pages of it, she says, "I know that nothing is destructible. Things merely change forms. When the consciousness we know as life ceases, I know that I shall still be part and parcel of the world. I was a part before the sun rolled into shape and burst forth the glory of change. I was when the earth heralded out from its fiery rim. I shall return with the earth, to Father, Son, and still exist in substance when the sun has lost its fire and disintegrates into infinity to perhaps become a part of the whirling rubble in space. Why fear? The stuff of my being is matter, ever changing, ever moving, but never lost. So, what need of denominations and creed to deny myself the comfort of all my fellow men? The wide belt of the universe has no need for finger rings. I am one with the infinite and need no other assurance. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Wonderful. Antonia, what would you add to Zora's words and to this vision we have for this year to honor the 250th, to finish the revolution with liberty and justice for all?
Well, I mean, her assurance that she is a part of it, maybe not in body, but in spirit. And and I think that's the key that we must take with us. Folk, the people that are not here, they are in spirit and they're still among us in all phases of our life, in phases of our thoughts. Like Andrew was saying with Emmett Till, he's always with us because we all grieve and still grieve that horrible tragedy that he endured, and he's never not out of our minds. He's never, we're even if his birthday isn't around, we still can feel his presence, and that allow us to know that we have to continue to try to make this world a better place, and his presence will forever be in our minds as as women with kids and men with children and parents to kids, uncles, aunts, kids that are lost through all kinds of tragedies. Our hearts are always kind of beating, beating for them, and beating for a better world. And I think that passage that Zora speaks of is is kind of like an assurance that nobody's ever lost. It's an assurance that they're here to help us along our journey, our earth walk, help us in some capacity, and to kind of help us guide us. And I think we got to use those, not the tragedies, but use them, their spirit, as a part of a move, as a part of the movement of being better, and building on the humanity of us as humans. We are indebted. We're indebted to their spirits. And yeah, and I think that's what I take from it.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for the letter and spirit of your words. Let's go to Lewis and then to Marcia. Lewis in Puerto Rico and Marcia in LA. Lewis, welcome. Good to see you again.
Great to see all of you again. It's an honor and a pleasure for me to be in such company as all of yourselves. We are a speck of stardust in the universe. And each one and each time we bind to another stardust, we start creating, start unifying, start integrating. Because we have a purpose in life. We have a destiny. We have a challenge. And us here as humans, unfortunately, mankind has destroyed humanity, has destroyed the earth, has destroyed us as human beings. But we have a challenge to make a difference in other people's lives. Maybe one, maybe 100. It doesn't matter, because we are giving a part of us to each one of the people that we touch every day. And as long as we have a humble heart, we are conscious that we are part of a higher power. Our touch, our spark, our reason of being here is because, as many people believe, we didn't finish our work. And now we have to make it happen so that we are liberated and we go back to the one consciousness. This event, this symposium, podcast, is to make awareness that our fellow citizens, our fellow Black communities, our fellow Native Americans, our fellow Indigenous peoples, all around the world have been the most sacrificed, the most the elites, the governments take whatever they want, as they want, when they want, regardless if it's a Native American reserve or Indigenous community. But we can still make a difference. We can still be a part of a change. We can transform things in our communities. As Antonia has indicated, and John, through the organizations that we belong to, each one of us makes a difference every day. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's harder. Saving someone's life is our purpose, regardless of how we do it. And every day you meet different people. Sometimes I get people that meet on the streets and I know you. I don't know where from. But, well, we're connected in some way, somewhere, at some time. And sharing well, I'm here for you. I don't know you. Let's connect. Let's talk. The other day when we were in our family trip to Chicago, we were coming back from the trip, and on our flight, this lady was sitting right beside us. And the funny thing is that her and I, there was a spark, and we started a simple conversation. And it so happens that we had so many things in common. And when we arrived in here in Orlando, she went to somewhere else and we came to Puerto Rico. We exchanged contacts and we've been talking and we've been sharing ever since.
Mhm.
Olga, my wife, and I. But it's so amazing that she is trying to do the same things that we're doing in her area. She believes in nature. She believes in common sense. She believes in fighting for the rights of the people. That's just one example of how we are all connected. We are
Beautiful.
not separate. We are all connected in some way. Sometimes spiritually, sometimes in other matters. But the important thing is that you had that connection. You made a difference. We talked throughout the whole trip from Chicago to Florida, nonstop.
Mhm.
I mean, I was delighted. Olga was delighted. We enjoyed. We didn't know that we arrived when the stewardess says, "Oh, buckle your seats to what happened to the time?" It was 3 hours. Time went, but the connection was there.
Beautiful.
And every day we have to do that. And that's our purpose. And with the Center for American Studies and all of the organizations that we're gathering here in this purpose, and to recognize the lives of those that sacrificed their lives for the rights, those who were murdered atrociously. We have to remember and respect their lives and make a difference. And remember that they made a sacrifice. And we have to learn from those experiences. The criminal murders is rampant all over. The killing, high school shootings, it's so atrocious. But those children are trying, with their sacrifice and their lives, they are telling us a message. Wake up, people, wake up. This cannot continue. We made that sacrifice. Those kids, all those children throughout those schools are telling us, you have to stop this. You can make the difference. And that's why we're here.
Thank you. Thank you, Louis. Thank you. Let us continue around the circle. Marcia and then Patrick in Tuskegee. Marcia in Los Angeles and Patrick in Tuskegee.
Hi there, everyone. Just really happy to see some of you again.
Hey, Marcia.
And hey, and make sure that whatever I can become, or do to stretch out my wings of assistance, I will. And I'm listening to what I've heard thus far. I want to say that we got the $1 billion Bank of America contract for 2026. We're looking across the globe, not just in America, at organizations that are really doing. That's what I heard John also mention. We're sick and tired of individuals seeking vainglory. And of course, in the end, no one benefits from that vainglory but them. So our goal, our search will be going out in December as a Christmas. What are you doing? What organizations are you involved in? What are you leading? But most of all, What have you proposed for 2026 to do to help with the so-called annihilation of crime and children that are being killed for no reason, cities with all kinds of immigration officers walking? That's it. The majority is talking. They're talking, they're singing about what they want to do, but we want to see action. We don't care if they're in Somalia, any parts of Africa, Iceland, New Zealand, Switzerland. Send your reports in. What do you propose? We see China, Russia, Germany, Iran. Everyone is threatening America with oblivion. But if we are seeking peace, if we're seeking an opportunity to be a vessel for the goodness of all, then we are looking for you. And our information will be going out 1 week before Thanksgiving. If you have any kind of an idea or what project program that you are actually working on, let us have that. It is singing from the graveyard, whatever. But our main focus is, who are you? What are you doing? And what have you led others to believe you or your firm can do? Not just for America, but for the world. And that's all I have to say there. I've been a little under the weather, but when I got the information from Andrew and Stuart, I said, oh, okay, they had it again. But I don't know if he's ever stopped. But this is the place to be. This is the people to hear. That much I have in my heart. So prayer blessing for global peace, not just peace in America, and that you can be a part of any form of unit that can help produce it and bring it to be. God bless you all. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let us go, friends, to Tuskegee, to a center trustee, Patrick Wallace, who is the great, I'm never sure how many greats, but it's pretty great, grandson of the actual founder of Tuskegee. Not Booker T. Washington, who was a founder's student, but Lewis Adams. Patrick, we'd love to be able to see you if we can, and we invite you to take a few minutes. And then we'll go from Patrick to Huda and Latoya.
Well, thank you, Stuart. Very good to be with everyone tonight. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, Lewis Adams, my great-great-grandfather, developed the city of Tuskegee and the university by binding the community with his school. And that school existed from after the Civil War until 1881. He hired Booker T. Washington to be the first principal. We love Booker T. And the zeitgeist was this. They had an uncle-nephew relationship. Lewis Adams was 38 years old. Booker T. was 23 when he arrived in Tuskegee. Booker T was the disciple. He was the acolyte. And he was taken around the community. And Lewis said, look at this man right here as the founder. Don't look at me, because you got to remember, at that time period in history, if you had an illegal education, which Lewis Adams did, he got his education from his white brothers and sisters, because his white brothers and sisters had an in-house tutor that came and taught them. Lewis was able to benefit from that. And he learned 3 languages, all of the specialties of high society. And he shared that with people in the community after slavery was over. So he told Booker, look, you have a piece of paper that gives you a legitimate education. You take the reins. And he told the citizens in Tuskegee, this is the man. Let him be the founder. And that's why for years and years and decades, people thought that Booker T founded the school. But they founded it together. They worked together and they built a society for themselves. And it was based on the principles that, now this is going to sound weird, but self-reliance, personal responsibility was very important. Respect for the Constitution, respect for it goes like this. Number one, respect for the Constitution, respect for life, personal responsibility, and limited government. And I know that sounds weird, but this is what Frederick Douglass and Booker T promoted. That was intended because Frederick Douglass said, look, if you let Black people in the South adhere to these concepts, they will not be a burden on white society. Now, a lot of people today would see that as kind of distasteful to say that, but that's what they had to say back in that time period. Now, that ideology created Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, Greenwood. It created Harlem, all of these really, really powerful places. And that is why Tuskegee is looked at the way that it is. Now, in today, let's fast forward to today. We have a society where people are being targeted, deported. We're having all these other social types of strife. However, these same standards that made us do well are those same standards that exist today. Nothing changes. These things stay the same. We can change as people. Our ideologies, the things that we follow, those things, they morph into other things. Right now, in this society, everything looks upside down. We're looking at the political ideology being just all cattywampus. So we don't know what to really believe and what to see. What we do know is that we have a solid, erstwhile will to live and survive, and to not only survive, but to flourish in today's society. That's what we're doing right now. And in a place like Tuskegee, which is almost kind of like the canary in the coal mine. When you were down here a few months ago, you saw that it still has that flavor of this is the hardcore work that must be done. And he saw it personally, up front and in person. Today, we're still fighting that fight. And so to anybody that thinks that it's something different, we're in a new era, and what has released our young people has been what happened in 2007 and what happened in 2023. The release of smart technology and the release of AI. That has set our young people free. They are doing things that we have never imagined. And we have to be willing to embrace that, because that's what's taking us into the next generation. We cannot be afraid of it. Many of my seniors here in Tuskegee are terrified of the technology, but we don't need to be. We need to utilize this to tell our stories. Just like I sent Stuart, I brought Lewis Adams back to life in voice and in AI presence to bring new knowledge to the people of today, to use the sensibilities of the past to bring new knowledge to today. And so in conclusion, I say this: we must not be afraid of the technology that is right there in front of us. It's a tool that we can use to further our young people's understanding of what we've been through and to make a future for all of us going forward. And Stuart, I thank you so much for bringing me into this forum, because this is what needs to be shared with everyone. So thank you all for being here, and I appreciate everyone's comments. Thank you all.
Great, Patrick. Let me just check in before we go to Huda. Thank you, Patrick, very much. Carl Bright is with us. And Carl, I don't know your timing. I'd like, if it's possible, after Huda and Latoya, to turn to you in a song, because I want to use that as a transition to Andrew and to Corin. And friends, who is 15165? Is that you, Jean? We have 15165. Is that Jean? Who is 15165? Well, okay.
It's me, Darlene.
Okay. Welcome, Darlene. Good. So, Carl, can we call on you after Huda and Latoya have spoken? Is your timing such that we could come to you then and then build a bridge to the last presenters before we look at the year as a whole? Does that work, Carl? Carl, does that work for you? Can you hear? I will try to reach.
Now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. That'll work.
So we'll come to you after Huda and Latoya. Thank you. Thank you. Huda, how good to see you again.
Stuart, how lovely it is to see you, and truly with everyone else here at trustees for the Center for American Studies at Concord. And I'm truly grateful in so much ways than words could really say for the values that you helped awaken in me. And so I'm honored to be a trustee to the Center for American Studies at Concord. So thank you, Stuart. I know that we all have our challenges and growing pains. I never really told you how much I love you. I do love you, and thank you.
Thank you, dear sister. Thank you very much.
Thank
so
you.
Tell us, Huda, about your work and what you envision, and that will build a bridge after Latoya, also to Corin, with some music in between. So tell us about your remarkable efforts from Ethiopia to Los Angeles and now to Bermuda.
Yes. So my passion has been truly, discerning over the original intent, and specifically original intent with Jubilee guarantees to people, and that's one and all peoples on this earth. And that discernment got me really attached to the Declaration of Independence, because it does talk about the earth and people, and the guarantees to life, liberty, pursuit of joy, pursuit of happiness. And these are Jubilee guarantees. And then when I met you, you've really encouraged us to consider publishing a children's book to address that same vision and mission, with the resolution and finding, not just discerning over it, but really finding the resolution and the guarantees, because we are operating under "in God we trust" currency already, and especially those of us in America. So that that vision is really what helped create the Sophia Federation's campaign for Mother Earth, as well as the book for the children, The Kingly Man, and also song, because you also brought Rick Lucas to the table to champion, and so for the children, and honoring today being Emmett Till, who was a youth at 14 years old who was sacrificed, and today being the 70th Platinum Jubilee legacy for him. And what a beautiful way to honor him than to bring transformational energy for the color-coded civil rights to a human-focused Jubilee rights guaranteed to one and all within the Concordian Jubilee perspective. And so, we do have a song that we would love to share. I sent the link to Andrew, so maybe he could play it when I'm, right before Candace and Princess Tekla comes to the floor. So we're honoring Emmett Tills and for the children campaign, and we're here to remedy wounds within Declaration of Independence, and that's also includes the remedy within the tyranny that comes through the majority rule. And that's in every now. It's like the future is now. We're living in the now, and the Concordian Jubilee is a treaty between not only the Indians, but with all humanity, for the children of this Mother Earth. So I'm truly happy to introduce our Sophia Federation's Secretary General, Latoya Green. She's also known by Candace Empress Tekla. And Sophia Federation has launched a campaign for Mother Earth in Bermuda in 2023 to bring guarantees with food, clothes, shelter, Jubilee guarantees, or birthright guarantees to humanity, to the people. And so, again, I'm just really honored, Stuart, for all the work that you do and for bringing us together. And I yield.
Thank you, Huda. Thank you very, very much. Do you want to have some music before Latoya, or what would you like?
Yes, Andrew, if you could play the link I just sent to you on WhatsApp. That's a poetry that's turned into a song written by Candace Empress Tekla, Secretary General Latoya.
Yes, give me just a moment, please.
Thank you, Andrew.
And this is Guyana for the children. Let me know when the screen shares. It's slow, but it is processing.
Thank you. And thank you to those elemental spirits behind the technology that take on this suffering and sacrifice that we, with the fallen light of electricity, that we can be together.
Yeah, while we're on that also, it is a 250th anniversary. So we are truly bringing honor to what it means to be in God trust and treaties and pure trust on this earth. And so the Concordian Jubilee platform that we bring forward is truly shows how serious the Center for American Studies is to bring the guarantees that is stated within the Declaration, and bringing honor and remedy also. Okay, there it is. Thank you again, Stuart.
Thank you, Huda.
So are you able to see my screen? I can't tell. Can you see my screen or not?
I saw it earlier, but I can't see the video anymore. Okay, there it is.
No, okay.
That's it.
All right, just a moment, please. Still cycling, just a moment, please.
No rush. We get to gather our thoughts.
And enjoy the visual if you can see the Lily, and the Guyana for the children. Perhaps we
Beautiful.
can contemplate and meditate on the peace and stillness that's shown in this turbulent time that we're in for the children. Okay, I believe we're close enough now to be able to share. Just 1 second here.
And Andrew, to let your remarkable peace, testament, and confession also resound in our hearts.
We're about to begin, I believe. Just a moment.
Thank you all for everything you do.
I voices, I rise up from the heart of Guyana, land of many waters, land beneath the sea level, rich in resources, and the love of AHIABGA-TV. A Rasta woman crowned in roots and wisdom calling out, chanting down Babylonian irate and true. For the children, children, future, promise, song. Children are like the rising dew, fresh, pure, untouched by Babylon's lies. Their eyes wide with wonder, their hearts beat with the rhythm of the Most High drum. So why let them cry, suffer, feel pain, hatred, stigmatization, or even death? I bring love, care, and protect, wrap them in the warmth of Ubuntu. I am because I are. No child left behind. Remember that. No soul forgotten. I rise together. I heal together. Let I teach them that my truth, justice, balance, so they walk straight and stand tall. They know right from wrong, peace from war, justice from intimidation, honor from cowardice. I say protect the youths, shield them from the heartless, from the violence, from the anger, from the pain and the shame and the stigmatization. Let justice flow like the mighty Essequibo. Let peace blossom like the lotus in the mud. Let harmony grow like the gold of the land. Courage stand as the jaguar that walks. A chance to dance, to dream, to grow. Teach them to connect with Mother Earth. Bare their feet and touch her and feel heartbeat. Teach them to plant, to reap, to give thanks to the Most High daily, so they not only have food for the physical, but also for the soul. To see the Most High in the trees, in the rivers, in the sky, in themselves. No, I are the children of the Most High. I say Guyana, rise up, Ethiopians, for the children. I are the guardians, the warriors of love, justice, peace. Let I build a movement where the earth's children are free, free to laugh, to grow, to speak, to live. Where their voices are heard and respected, where their irate soar free. For the children, I chant, I pray, I reason. Let love be the law, let care be the way. Let justice be the peace. Let's teach them to walk with one love, to honor the earth, the ancestors, the Most High, to look within and praise Him ever, for they are I's future, connected in the universe, one love.
So that poetry is written by Secretary General Candace Infrastekla, Latoya Green, and I'm so honored to introduce her to you.
And if I just may say briefly, it was a joy to watch Huda and Latoya dancing with it. It was wonderful to thought those are two mothers and look at them how they move.
Well, it
That
came
was so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Welcome, Latoya. Warm welcome.
Thank you. Well, I give thanks that I'm here, I'm a part of this forum. I give thanks to the Almighty that there are people that care, because when you're growing up in these parts, sometimes you feel a bit hopeless as a young person. I hope everyone can hear me clearly because we were having some internet issues earlier.
So you're
Well,
clear.
as
Thank you. You're clear.
today, as a mother, as a person that has been working towards um, improvement in our way of life in our country and by far the other parts of the world, I remember that journey from childhood. Sometimes people overlook children and the things that they think about. I can remember as a child asking myself, what does it take to be a person that is immortal? And my answer, or I should say the voice that's in me, answered me and said, comes true to the work that you would have done, how you would have lived your life, the journey that you would have taken, who did you help on the way? And so my journey has been rooted in helping others. And it hurts every time you look at the news and there's the death of a child, of a woman, of a person. For me, even though as a child, there are lots of things I did for fun, and I did have a fun life playing cricket, football, everything. I still found time to follow my history, know the history of who we are and where we came from. And I feel blessed to be able to follow the conversation that has been going on this forum, even though we come from different backgrounds. I am a lover of African history, and so the African American history, I am happy to say that I'm familiar with that history too, because most of the movies I would have been following over my years from childhood to today. And it always touches me to see the kind of things that we've gone through. What has caused us to have to go through these things? Why are we still going through these things? Why are we not making the necessary changes? And whenever whenever I have a problem, I don't only blame everyone around me. I blame me to see what did I do to help create that. And so if I'm a part of the problem, I must be a part of the solution. And so this journey for the children with the Emmett Till story being similar to Adriana Young in Guyana here, as Prince Andrew would have mentioned earlier within his speech. It is reoccurring. Adriana was not lynched, but she was sacrificed. And because of technology today, and because we're in touch and tuned with each other, even those cross borders, cross oceans, everyone who was in tune, witness from the disappearance of Adriana to the finding of her body. And it really shook all of us up because the fact that we were able to see and feel with the family that emotional bond, as I think it was John who was speaking. No, it wasn't John. Um,
It was Lewis. Lewis.
forgot his name. Luis, who was speaking, meeting the person on the bus on it as though they know each other from ages ago. I love that kind of experience. Somehow I get a lot of that because even as a young girl growing up, young people, old people, any age would somehow see me to just tell the story to. And sometimes because sometimes it's somebody like double your age, I'm wondering, why are they telling me their story? What can I possibly do to help? Because at this time when I'm asking myself these questions, I'm a teenager. And so now my journey has brought me to this point where I've been helping through teaching, through art, through music, through every form in which we could help. We've been working towards helping, and notice I now move from I to we. And as a Rasta woman, we would say I and I. I and I working towards helping our young people. To see my little daughter cry and say, Mommy, is that going to happen to me? I'm afraid now to go to school. I'm afraid to go out of here, Mommy. Is that going to happen to me? And then I had to comfort my daughter, and because at she's now 9. She's now 9. At the time it happened, it wasn't her birthday yet, so she was 8, and she's crying because she could relate to a little girl like herself. And for a mother to have to go through the paces of comforting your child and giving them that assurance that things will get better, I cannot give my child that assurance without her trying to do something. So the Rise Ethiopia Foundation has been working ever since on the initiative Guyana for the Children, where we're looking to bring forward some level of respect, awareness, and inclusion and everything for the youth. Because when we look at most of the programs that exist today, there isn't much for the young people. And if there is for those who are privileged. And for me, I like to reach out to who in society is not privileged, because I did not grow up in a privileged environment. I grew up in what we call the ghetto. And coming from there and still being able to, through my resilience, attend one of the highest schools in the country, has given me that insight of both worlds, privileged and the unprivileged. And I'm now that bridge. And I would like to share it with the young people that's coming up in those ghettos and beyond, to see that there's still hope. There's still people out there trying to do do things that will help you, that will make you feel more comforted. To see our president our vice president on television addressing people as low lives, and young African Guyanese or Black Guyanese as scrapes and scrapeheads, and all of these derogatory remarks. It is our work now cut out now to let these young people see that you're more than a scrape, you're not a low life, you're as important as the next person. Our program is motioned or directed to that. to that environment, to creating that environment for the young people. We're looking to bring off at least a series of events to reach out to young people, to give them new hope, to let them know that they're protected and everything. We, we're planning an art exhibition, fashion show, and music, um, live stage show, and other programs within to educate our young people. And then further field to keep reaching out within the communities, continue these kind of programs and in educating and elevating the young people, because coming from where I came from, we know we need a lot of hope, because not only are those people killing and doing these things right within our homes, we're abused. At least 90% of the Guyanese population has been facing abuse, women and children, and the men. The men are inflicting it within the home, but then police inflicting it on them out on the road. So it's a whole renewal for us. And it's like we haven't died to be reincarnated, but we need to evolve from larvae to butterflies now, to bring it to that level of um, evolution or transformation that needs to take place. So I'm happy to even be on this program to share with you guys across the seas that we've never met, none of us have never met in person, but we all are speaking the same language. We all are speaking about the improvement of our children, which is the development of our future, because we need to take care and protect our future. So I thank you for this time that we're here.
Beautiful, Latoya. Thank you. And I sent Huda a chat about Orland Bishop, so we can follow up on that. Let us move around the circle. We come to Carl Bright. And Carl, it'd be lovely if you all can bring some music, speak about your music, and then what you see is at the heart of the challenges facing our nation. And then I will transition us to the remaining speakers, and we'll end with Queen Mother. And well, not just with Queen Mother saying a prayer, but with Queen Mother also offering her thoughts as well as the grandmother. So,
Stuart, I'm
so
sorry,
welcome,
just
Carl. Yeah, go ahead, Huda.
before Carl, I would just like to wrap up with Secretary General Latoya. So the fiat currency that she brings is truly a proven concept. For me, when people say fiat currency has no value, I take extreme offense, because fiat currency is a real-time Treasury Direct Jubilee currency, the 528 hertz. And it's extremely, in God we trust currency with Jubilee rights for passage is extremely sacred, valuable guarantee that I hold very dear to. And Candace, Secretary General Candace Empress Tekla, her values, her morals, we've never met, but when we passed on the mantle to her to be this, to represent and to be the humble Secretary General for Sophia Federation, it's really with greatest honor, and her work speaks for herself. And so the fiat currency that the 13th Federal Reserve is created to honor that 528 Hertz Jubilee rights for passage fiat currency, guarantees to one and all humanity on this earth as in heavens. So I just wanted to add that piece, give thanks. I'm sorry, Carl, I appreciate your patience with me.
Thank you, Huda. Thank you, Huda. And thank you again, Latoya. So, Carl, the floor is yours, dear brother.
Amen. God bless you to everyone. Hello, everyone. I've enjoyed what I've heard so far, and certainly appreciate the invitation from you, my brother. Thank you very much for thinking of us again all these years. and we certainly appreciate it. My daughter's going to sing a song for you. Good for us to be here in this place. But before she does, we have a show here called Oh Happy Day, or Charleston's Oh Happy Day, which we do music from slavery to freedom, how it was written, why it was written. And I want to read to you just a short piece of what one of the visitors, attendees, said during her time. She says, at this critical time in our society, country, the dismantling of programs designed to help our children and seniors and more, yet Oh Happy Day gospel concerts is able to deliver a message that offers an answer to all that plagues our country and beyond. A concert that speaks to us long after the music has ended. And her words really bless me to let us know what we're doing is worthwhile. And I just like you to know that we have people from every country at our concerts, because Charleston is one of the top visiting capitals here in the United States. And so people have made their vacations around when we would be doing this. And her comments, and others I have plenty, had to do with what's going on in the world. And she says, I wish you guys could go to Congress and do this concert. But I guess the main thing is it keeps me researching so that the narrative is a guide, and it's teachable, and everybody can hear and understand it. And for those 75 minutes, everybody is one. They don't even want to leave. That's how the music just engulfs the people. I've been doing this for many years. I started playing for my daddy's church at 11. I am now 74 years old, and I'm still doing it. And I'm blessed to be doing it. But when I see how it's changing, people have come back and brought people. And so I try to keep the narrative fresh and according to the times we're in, as well as the times that have passed. This song here caught the attention of our brother, Stuart. Good for us to be here in this place. Well, in the concert, it does the same thing, Stuart. The people are standing, the people are learning it, and before they leave, they've learned it. And we changed the songs according to the mood of the room. I put it that way. So my daughter, you're not going to see her, but you're going to hear her, and she's going to sing just about 3 verses for you, and then we'll turn it back into the hands of those who are coming after me. Again, we're glad. Hello to everyone. Enjoyed everyone. Thank you, Huda, for that music. For everyone who had something to say that I heard, I am blessed, and thank you again, my brother. I'm so glad the Lord has brought us to this place. I'm so glad the Lord has brought us to this place. It's good for us to be here. Good for us to be here in this place. I'm not talking about the building. We are talking about the fact that we're in a place where we can do some good. And since we're here, we need to seek how we can do it. Good to be in a place where we think like that in the midst of all that's going on around us.
Well, thank you so much, Carl. But before you go, Carl, this is Andrew Williams Jr. My default is always to share what we do amongst ourselves with a wider audience, because I believe that it's important that the words we speak, although there are 2 or more gathered here, to reach as many people as we possibly can around the world. So hopefully everyone here will authorize me to reshare this collaboration that we're involved with now to a wider audience. So in that regard, Carl, please share with our audience the specific name of your group, and if there's a website, if there's an upcoming event, please take the time to give a station identification for you, Carl Bright.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. My name is Carl. My group's name, if you just Google it, would be Bright Family Singers. It'll come right up. And our website is under construction, but if you put in a Bright Family Singers, we'll come up on all the digital outlets, Instagram, TikTok. My daughter's telling me those things. Facebook will come right up, as well as in Charleston. You'll see when our events are. Our next event is Sunday, September 24th at 4 p.m. will be our 8th season of doing this, and we're very proud. But thank you so very much. It's like, it's also, I see we're in the studio now recording some of the songs we've written during that time. So thank you for that space.
And
Carl, before your, go ahead, Andrew, and then I have a note for Carl before his dear daughter sings, and this is going to be a real treat. But Andrew, you wanted to say something further?
Yes, just to make clear, you're part of the Andrew Networks. I have a global footprint. There are people that don't know where Charleston is. So tell us a little bit more.
We're in Charleston, South Carolina, right here in right here in Charleston, South Carolina, and our shows are done at the Circular Congregational Church, 150 Meeting Street, downtown Charleston. Very historical church, round church, has the greatest sound for vocals there because it was built on the time when there were no mics. And so they built the building so that the vocals could be heard from the rafters or wherever they were singing. Talk louder.
Amazing Grace.
Okay, the guy who wrote Amazing Grace, he used to go to that church as well. My daughter's talking to me. But anyway,
no, that's great. Well, that's also, Carl, what I wanted to say is after she sings, can I put you on the spot? Because friends, that is where they say, and I've been in the church and heard Carl a couple of times, that's where Amazing Grace was first sung. So after your dear daughter sings, and can we at least see her face? Can she peek into the camera before she sings? Would you sing us Amazing Grace, Carl?
I will let her sing it. My voice is not up to par tonight, but she always sings it during the show.
Good.
Okay. I'm so glad the Lord has brought us to this place, and just everyone sort of understand the place you're in right now, including Brother Anderson, to do what he just did for me to make sure that people hear where we were from. We're all in a special place that we can take care of something specific in the earth. Not to get biblical on you, but just to say each of the prophets were born just in time to take care of some evil in the earth. All of them, just in time. But Isaiah is born just in time, amen, to talk about Jesus coming. Elijah comes just in time to anoint Samuel and David, all these things. And so we are the same. We are here just in time, amen, to do what we're doing. Go ahead, Jenna. I'm so glad. Go ahead, baby.
I'm so glad the Lord has brought us to this place.
So glad.
I'm so glad the Lord has brought us to this place.
It's good for us to be here.
It's good for us to be here. It's good for us to be here. It's good for us to be here in this place.
God is going to bless us.
God is going to bless us in this place.
You're my brother, you're my sister.
You're my brother, you're my sister in this place.
It's good for us.
It's good for us to be here. It's good for us to be here. It's good for us to be here in this place.
Freedom and justice for all in this place.
There's freedom and justice for all in this place. There's freedom and justice for all in this place.
Freedom for my brother.
It's freedom for my brother.
Freedom for my sister.
And freedom for my sister.
It's good for us.
It's good for us to be here in this place. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound
Saved a wretch.
that saved a wretch like me.
I once was lost.
I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Amen.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Carl, thank you. And we'll be talking about, if it's possible, you and your family, the singers, being part of the broadcasts. So we'll go into that detail.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much. And friends, Andrew, I'd like to ask you now if you'd put up the screen share, because I want to build a bridge from what Carl has shared and his dear daughter to the last speakers. And the last speakers after me will be Darlene, if she wishes to share something, and then Corin, and then we will come. I hope I'm not missing anybody. I'd like to invite then Queen Mother to build on what I'm going to offer. And what I'm going to offer occurred in Carl's church on Pentecost. So can you bring that screen share up, Andrew, please?
We
Are
also
you
Yes,
ready?
have
just a moment, please.
Honorable Andrew Fenton.
Yes,
And
just a
thank
moment,
Yep,
please.
take your time. Take your time. Thank you again, Carl, you and your blessed daughter for that music.
That's you. Thank you, Nornis.
While Andrew's bringing it up, friends, people who I've spoken with about the age-old notion of reincarnation, repeated earth lies, which you find in Matthew in the Gospel, when Christ speaks about how John the Baptist is the Elijah who is for to come, that basically the human spirit is immortal and earth is the right place for love. So if we could choose between when we die going to heaven and hanging out, for the rest of our days, or if we haven't fulfilled our full potential, and if we have more to learn, might we yearn to come back to the earth to give more and to learn more? Again, earth is the right place for love. So I'd like to take us through the beginning of this, and we come to a point which was inspired by my visit to Carl's church. So we're looking at that. This is not, Andrew, can you go to the top? Can you
This is
bring
the
it
top.
Okay, so commemorating the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation. E pluribus unum, out of many one, the sacred seal of our land, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we're talking about finishing what the American Revolution didn't finish, because there wasn't liberty and justice for all, or making a contribution. The cause of America is the cause of all mankind, Tom Paine said, from sea to shining seas. And now, dear friends, might it indeed be that a nation, civilization that professes to be truly civilized, is founded on the qualities of selflessness, service, sacrifice, and ultimately redemption? The eternal calling to make good. As exemplified by many fellow Americans whom we admire, revere, Tecumseh, Harriet Tubman, Cesar Chavez, Roger Williams, to name but a few. In Dr. King's words, not only is unearned suffering redemptive, typo there, my apologies, But are we not all called to take up such undying labors of love? As Martin went on to say, everyone can be great because everyone can serve, suffer themselves to serve, as he who was spoken of as the Christ epitomized. Is not our compassion called forth through such service, our commitment to suffer with compassion, suffer with the other as his, her keeper? So I visited Carl in his church on Pentecost, gosh, might have been about a decade ago. And I was up in the balcony. Carl was playing the organ, if I recall. And when it came time, friends, to receive the communion, the church, everybody arose and they processed to the front. And even though I was the only pale face in the whole church, I couldn't resist joining the procession. Now, I'm almost the only pale face on this call, and that delights me because this is a center for all American studies. So I got in line and eventually I approached the altar. Now, when I talk about a civilization, if it's truly civilized, and would you go back a little bit, Andrew? Would you go back to what we looked at? If you could put the cursor up. A civilization that's truly civilized is founded on the qualities of sacrifice, suffering, selflessness, and redemption. So I don't know, friends, it's probably going to be hard for you all to understand what I'm saying because now I'm speaking as a pale face. And you bring all the richness and beauty and colors of the whole world. But imagine Stuart coming up to the altar, and I knelt down, and beside me was an older Black man, and here was this younger white. If people can go on mute while we're talking below. So I kneeled down, and there was this older Black man beside me. And he turned in this selfless, sacrificial way, and he cupped my hand in his hand. This perfect stranger cupped my hand in his hand, and he smiled down, shone down upon me. Pentecost. I'll never forget that experience. This perfect stranger, this older Black man, who knows what he'd experienced? He was probably in his late 70s. So I'd like to go back, Andrew, a little bit, and I'd like to read that again, if you can take it up a bit. I don't think these words, not that they're mine, but I'd like to read them again, can be heard enough. Might it indeed be that a nation, civilization that professes to be truly civilized is founded on the qualities of selflessness, service, sacrifice, and ultimately redemption? And Queen Mother, at the end, I'd like to ask if you care to speak to what I'm saying here. The eternal calling to make good, as exemplified by many fellow Americans whom we admire, Tecumseh, Harriet Tubman, Cesar Chavez, Roger Williams, to name but a few. And let's continue if we can, Andrew. In Dr. King's words, not only is unearned suffering redemptive, but are we all not called to take up such undying labors? And when we had the first National Forum on Race in Tuskegee, where Carl and the family came across from Charleston, and where I met Patrick initially, I was part of the opening words, and I said, friends, if we think of the history of our country as a drama, scene one was a near tragedy. That is the annihilation of many, many, many of the native peoples of this land. And I went on to say that if a redemptive impulse had not come with scene two from left wing, left stage, I'm not sure, and I'm speaking as a pale face, I'm speaking as someone whose forebears came over on the Mayflower. I'm not sure that our country would have had a future if a redemptive impulse didn't come in scene two. I'm not sure the show would have continued on the road. And the point I made, and I'll read this through to the end, the point I made is that those Native Americans, African Americans, Latin Americans, I've worked with Cesar Chavez in the fields of La Paz of California, those who have been true to these words, unearned suffering is redemptive, have given our country a tremendous gift, a monumental, unbelievable gift. But that gift cannot realize itself until it is realized. And so I see that as one of the themes for these podcasts over the next year, our 250th, to finish the American Revolution with liberty and justice for all as one of the themes. The second is reincarnation. And then the other themes, all of you would be invited to contribute because all of you will be invited to speak with music, with acting, with Zora, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to finish what I wrote, and then I'm going to invite Darlene, a fellow paleface, if she wants to say a word or two, and then we will go to Corin and Queen Mother. As challenging as the thought may be, can we, the people, envision such a calling, redemption, taken up, that is, by individuals and peoples, Native American, African American, Latin American, for starters? I speak of those fellow citizens who, amidst their suffering, have exemplified the very redemptive qualities spoken of. Can you imagine, friends, a more significant, groundbreaking blessing than that which such fellow Americans have bestowed upon our land, aspiring new world? A blessing that is destined to serve the refounding of our republic. If that is, it can be recognized at long last. America is great because America is good, de Tocqueville stated. And if America ever ceases to be good, she will cease to be great. And after I put my hand on Donald Trump's heart in the primary when he first ran, and I said, enough of this, America must be great again. Let us just be good. The recognition of such an all-American blessing is the purpose of the unfolding series, E Pluribus Unum, out of many one. As we, the people, approach the 250th anniversary, 1776 to 2026, of the birth of our nation, our ever more perfect union, a new beginning waits upon us. Friends, upon us, those who've gathered tonight with Emmett Till in thought. A new beginning waits upon us, the U.S., we the people. A warm welcome to join us this Thursday Eve, August 28th. And so here we are. And then can you scroll down a little more? We look forward to considering together this work ahead of us, thanks to Andrew's inspiration and Corin's inspiration, as we will hear. Together, we will consider the moral, cultural, redemptive foundations of our republic. All American voices that span the geographies and generations are invited to speak into this long-awaited historic moment. As such, the series is dedicated to the forging together, together, all American, of a future worth envisioning for our children, grandchildren, and for the generations to come, all our relations. And what I'd just like to add, which I, if we can go a little bit further down, Andrew, you can take it down a little more. Can you scroll down a little more? So postscript, there two friends, a final seminal thought. And I'm repeating myself a bit, as the spirit moves you, that takes up President John Adams' timeless reminder. The American Revolution began in the hearts and minds of the people. I won't repeat that other to say that everybody I've spoken with of the notion of reincarnation, as we strive to become whole, full, complete, ever more humane, one lifetime male, the next female, one black, the next white, one Christian, the next Jewish. Everybody who's taken that seriously, from that moment on, they have not been able to look at the issue of gender or race or religion in the same way.
Stuart, if you could, Stuart, I'm sorry, but this is a podcast. People can't see. Can you read what you've written and then speak on it? Pick up with it, if you can imagine.
I will finish then. So they're two friends, a final seminal thought as the spirit moves you that takes up President John Adams' timeless reminder. The American Revolution began in the hearts and minds of the people. If you can imagine that there's a heartfelt, mindful, good-willed thought that can inspire the further revolution spoken of, dedicated to the fulfillment of the promise of liberty and justice for all, might that thought relate to what unites us, one and all, the human spirit? Is the question clear? The human spirit that is in its eternal revelation. I speak of the age-old notion of reincarnation, repeated earth lives, human to human. Can you envision that in our journey to become whole, complete, balanced, to become truly human, humane, that one lifetime we're male, the next female, one lifetime we're black, the next white, one lifetime we're Jewish, the next Christian, as Christ himself is said to have stated, Matthew 11:14. Thoughts are real, we say. It's a thought that counts. In such respects, do you doubt that anyone who in such a light has considered seriously the thought of reincarnation will ever be able to view the race issue in the same dim, imbalanced, one-sided, limited light? On the threshold of the 250th anniversary of the founding of our nation, if we, the people, pause and reflect, might such a timeless vision, reincarnation, explain how a young, formerly enslaved Negro poetess, Phyllis Wheatley, the poet of Columbia, gave the following marching orders in her ode to General George Washington, to one of the most powerful older white men on our shores, on behalf, that is, of the genius of our land herself. Proceed, great chief, with virtue by thy side, thine every action let the goddess guide. Poetic justice it is, can one say, that whatever may have bound Wheatley and Washington together, and I'm alluding from earlier lifetimes, could it have been Anthony and Cleopatra themselves? The human bond lives on, is immortalized in the name of our nation's capital itself, Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. So once again, those who've grasped this thought and taken it to heart, from that moment on, thoughts are real. It's a thought that counts. They've not been able to think of the gender and race issue in the same way. This is what the Center for American Studies, working with you all, would bring to our country at this time. So I will pause, invite Darlene to offer any words, and then Corinne and Queen Mother, and then maybe Andrew can give a conclusion.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for all your blessings and all the work that you do. And I believe the children are our redemption, and everyone that's here tonight is the guiding light for those children. So keep up, the great work that you're doing and the work that you bring forward into the world. But I think the children are our promise for the future. They're very, very special. So I honor them. I really honor them.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you. So, dear Corin, who is turning the Devil's Triangle in Bermuda into the St. Michael's Triangle, share with us, Corin, if you will, what moves in your heart and what you can envision for this year ahead. And we'd love to be able to see you. There we are.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. Good night, everyone. That's the Bermuda rising behind me. Thank you. Picture, not the real thing. Yeah, it's just great to be able to come full circle on this very delicate transition in, I would say, American self-awareness, where we've reached a climactic sort of confrontation or collapse of the civil rights doctrine with a very deliberate statement from the White House about diversity, equity, and inclusion, all the rules that have prevailed as somewhat of a consensus are being re-engineered from the top. And for some, they might call it a Goliath sentiment is being established in politics. And it's a small enclave like Concord that, because it's the crucible for the revolutionary spirit of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, it's the crucible for the transcendental consciousness movement that elevated an outlying colony of the British Empire to survive a revolution and become a beacon of consciousness and morality and other, let's say, high ideals. It's an opportunity now for that same Concordian spirit to address the Goliath of America, and having had a chance to really absorb the history of Concord and the mission for the Central American Studies, it is very, I think, typically, let's say, American to be able to put a spotlight on a vulnerable American story like the story of Emmett Till, a 14-year-old who probably never really aspired to any high political aspirations or values, but became a martyr or a saint or a spark for a broader transition in American affairs. So it's great to be able to challenge ourselves that small people, vulnerable people, sometimes can be the most critical part of these transitions. America being a war with itself, maybe the children and an understanding of the vulnerability of children, how our actions influence them, and vice versa. I think Concord has the strength to carry that story, even if maybe it's not being heard from the Emmett Till community itself in Mississippi. Now that Concord is stepping up to also advocate for it, I think there is a chance for a broader frame to appear that transcends race and class and party affiliation and so forth. I would also just say that I do feel that the legacy of Bronson Alcott as the sort of subdued leader of the Concordian spirit, and his own affiliation with children and children's learning can be a very strong part of this conversation going forwards about not just the American Revolution, but also the Concordian spirit and the invocation of that, it's that heart to heart energy or consciousness that I think Bronson's work brought directly to children relative to Emerson and Thoreau and the others that were, I think, as I understood it, much more kind of pop stars. So I learned a lot from these relationships and legacies. I do feel that their spirit is in the era when we are here dealing with the Central American studies. And I look forward to working stronger going forward.
May I just say very briefly, because you've touched on something very important, I'll be very quick, and then please continue. So Bronson Alcott started the Temple School, and then he was the most famous honored educator, and then the parents turned against him when he spoke about the Gospels, and for particularly the birth of Jesus, the Immaculate Conception. This conservative Puritan community turned against him. They used the excuse of a black child he was educating, and they said, "Get rid of the black girl, or we're going to close down the school." And Bronson Alcott said, "Close down the school." And he educated his 4 little women and that one black girl as long as he could. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't resist. Please.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Stu. Like, these are little kernels, or as I see it, truth sort of sparks, in terms of these kinds of, let's just say, realities of leadership, the hidden pain, or the sacrifices that will take to made. I do glory in the heroism of the poet laureate for George Washington, read Lee's story, but she also did not have a very noble career in spite of her contributions to the revolution. Not that it really matters, but it's just to say that you put everything in context about what the price we pay each generation for being a voice of conscience. So I do feel, like I said, based on that, if any enclave can elevate the narrative, I do think Concord is that enclave, and I do feel Central American Studies has the autonomy to be that spotlight, or that spark in this particular 250th transition in the American experiment, to sort of eclipse, like, the broader patriotism spirit with this Platonic sort of transcendental horizon, of Concordian, I think, substance, So that's just and I'm grateful to have Huda and Latoya or Tekla in the room to lead the charge for the children. And really, and like I said, it's great to see the work that you've done. To the and Andrew, bringing you both together. I take very proud to be able to say that, and see that you've been able to sustain the relationship, and we're all able to go to a higher place together. So with that, I just yield to the chair. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, Corin. I think there's a last word that you have to say about the relationship might there be between Bermuda and America in your work with Huda on behalf of both. Might you speak just
Okay,
for
I can. Yes, thanks,
moment
Stuart.
or two?
Well, I do, just to put in perspective, and I think most people may be familiar with, or maybe not. I'll just say that, yeah, I am a Bermudian, and I do suffer or enjoy the special relationship that Bermuda had with the Virginia colony, and the sister colony status we had with Jamestown, Virginia, where the British, English, the London Company, that had a different agenda in Virginia than the Pilgrims in Boston or whatever, that were seeking religious freedom. The Virginia Company was very much seeking profit and a utopian marketplace. Hopefully gold would have been the currency, who knows? But the Virginia Company, the Jamestown colony, they didn't survive, but Bermuda did survive as part of that first colonial outreach. So we stand as the longest surviving colony of the British Empire project in the Western Hemisphere. And we would rank as a big brother to the Jamestown community and the Virginia establishment. Even though we're such a small, isolated place, we ourselves, like Concord regarding the American Revolution, we do have some degree of a pedigree in the British Empire, as small as we are, that makes us a very strong ally to the United States. When America sneezes, we tend to catch the cold first. We tend to be somewhat ahead of the Virginia establishment, and even to this day, primarily because they use Bermuda as the sort of Martha's Vineyard to Martha's Vineyard, or the laboratory for the Fortune 500. So I do go out of my way, put myself out of my way to sort of optimize the role that we in Bermuda play right now, with America going through this latest soul searching around the Trump administration, that our job is to be ahead of the curve, not be reactionary to it. And in addition, remind, I think, the powers that be, that the golden age wasn't really Donald Trump's idea. It was there at the beginning of the British imperial project. And so his presidency has resurrected that original spirit of empire, although he's retooling it from a presidential perspective, where the British were doing it from a perspective of a British island. And as a Bermudian, we're just stuck in the middle of these worlds. And so we're using, that proximity we have to work together. And they would say that Bermuda, as a small island, because we're trusted by the establishment powers in the, let's say, the deep state of the Virginia establishment, we're that mouse that can go into the jaws of the lion and extract the thorn in the tooth. And it's a symbiotic relationship that we're trusted for that kind of purpose. And I do feel that part of this dialogue about race in America, it has overtaken what initially was a utopian idea in the British mind about the Virgin Mother of Virginia, and the role that their empire was invoking civilizations beyond the church and state, very much, as I see, in that spectrum of classical antiquity, and yes, competing with the ideals or the mythology of the Solomonic kings and queens of Ethiopia and Israel. And so, ironically enough, Huda, as a citizen of Ethiopia who's migrated to America, brings that Ethiopian perspective to the utopianism of that American ideal. And so her origin in Ethiopia, from the Harar enclave, very much like Concord in America, Harar region, Harar city in Ethiopia, is very much a crucible with the high ideals of the Ethiopian Empire. So together, so I think because Americans, and like any Goliath or any giant, may have its own pain, its own self-awareness that it's contending with, can embrace the role that Ethiopia can play as a reference point in this soul searching about race. Bermuda can play in the soul searching about empire. We can be those, I think, tools for the school, for the Center for American Studies, in addition to all the other groups that you work with, Stuart, from India to Europe, the Steiner School, Austrian School. You got so many tools to work with. But Bermuda and Harar are these sort of micropolitan tools, like surgical tools, that can pinpoint a lot of your messaging and your leadership. And I'm just, that's the role I see us playing in supporting this vision as I see it, that not just I would say Center for American Studies, but another word that I like is the Buckminster Fuller concept of the trim tab theory, or the trim tab dynamic. A small lever on the rudder of the ship can make a huge shift in the direction of the boat.
Yeah.
You know? That trim tab dynamics, you know. So the more we're able to sort of concentrate our ideas on these very small, subtle dynamics of movement and power, even now, as I say, as you're saying, America has to move beyond. Even Martin Luther King himself said the biggest crisis America faces the color line, as far as his own assessment of the status of the Negro and the civil rights movement. But America has to get beyond the color line. But how do they do it? At some point, there has to be a way to let go of the racial sort of rhetoric. And Trump has made it somewhat easy because everybody can vilify Trump as the racist or the fascist or the disruptor or the destroyer of the American power, or of the American sense of getting over its racial history, you know. But I do think by being the example, Concord can lead the way to bearing the race card, you know.
That's where the notion of reincarnation, in fact, comes in, I would suggest. Corin, thank you. We're drawing to an end.
Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, thank you.
I want, Carl, if you have a moment still, a Queen Mother, I'd like to turn to Queen Mother. And Queen Mother, if you can speak to whatever moves in your heart, but if you could touch on the notion, the question, is it so that unearned suffering is redemptive? And how do you view the notion of reincarnation? Is it that new idea that can enlighten our minds and hearts so we see our full humanity? You're on mute. You're on mute, Queen Mother. You're on mute.
I really was so caught up in what Corin was saying, because he really was talking about the duties and the failure that has occurred during these chaotic times.
By the way, Queen Mother, I'm going to interrupt for a moment. For those who don't know, Queen Mother was the first Black woman. What was the exact term, Queen Mother?
I'm gonna bring it into it. I'll bring it into it.
But just so those who know who are not here now, if you could just mention.
We have so many subjects in this forum tonight.
Good.
We got One Nation Under God, and then we got individually that we could talk about. And how do we get liberty? We have the race factor as well as the faith factor. But I'm going to forego all of these concepts and just kind of speak from the farmer's point of view. I'll say it that way. We as a people are connected because we are of the dust of the earth and because we are gathered from the elements that make all of us connected. So therefore, we experience the love, fellowship, and hate and all of the chaos that comes along with that. So many of us blacks has experienced the same experience that you had in that church. I go to meetings in this day, 2025, where there is only one black, and that's me. But do I have a voice? And how do I make that voice heard? But I have learned the best gift in life is the gift of giving of yourself to others. That's the best gift you can give. We blacks set the stage for the Emmett Tills and all of those that has come after him. In 1976, George Wallace chose to appoint a black woman to a jury commission in the state of Alabama to serve in Chilton County, where there was Ku Klux Klan that ranged in the daytime, not only in the darkness. This was a hard task for a wife and a mother and a father. But God called. So she answered with courage to that challenge. To serve, you must have faith, compassion, love, and it's because you give of yourself to service that it is noticed. George Wallace saw that in me. He called me to service. I heard the voice of God and I obeyed. I am not selfish. You have to be selfless and you have to have compassion when you are called to a service. You must have love. You must be willing to give of yourself to that service, to those that are in need, not to those that just want. And the question is, how do we derive our answer to those that are in need? Our everyday work prepares us in our minds and in our soul. My mind go back to Barbara Jordan in 1976. First black woman elected in Texas. And she said in one of her speeches, "Who then shall speak for the people?" When she got the call that she was on the committee that was appointed to look at Richard Nixon and what he had done and whether or not he should be impeached. This is what the senator said from Texas. The example of being a part of we the people. Senator Barbara Jordan of Texas was an example of being a part of we the people. It captivated my mind when she stated that she had been called to be on that panel. She said the hearing was gruesome because she was the only Black, the first Black woman called to the table. Now, she stated in her mind that that call to the table was not with disdain, was met with disdain, but she took her seat to represent the people. She was but one voice, but fear left her, and she made her voice heard. She cast her vote, and she proclaimed that it was the first time that she felt that she was now a part of we the people, because she had spoke from her heart for the people. Now, what do we do? How do we give of our service when God has called us to aid and assist those that are in need? Do we do it with love, fellowship? Do we do it with kindness?
Green Mother, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Emmett Till was an example. Emmett Till's mother was an example of what God put in women's to do and how redemption love should be given in her. Even though it was gruesome, it was hard, and she knew that she was going to have a problem with what she was going to do, but she wanted the world to see what had been done. Because if they did not see, then there would never be anything done. We would never be one nation under God. We would never be a people that was caring for each other. So she decided to have her son an open casket. And as a mother that has buried 4 children in his condition, I even weep today. What is redemption love if that's not redemption love? We must give of ourselves, and when we give of ourselves, we take self out of it. We are obedient to what God requires of us. And until we become obedient to what God requires of us, we're going to have all of this chaos. 18 children killed today by 2 gunmen in the church. When are we going to stop? When are we going to have that redemption love? When are we going to take our brother's hand without looking at the color of the skin? When are we going to let one another lie in our beds? When are we going to wash one another's feet? When are we going to get out of self and stop being so selfish? We don't realize The Lord said, he that giveth much receives much. He that giveth little receive little. And that much from God is much more than man can ever give. Because he gives us everlasting life, eternal life, where we in ourselves are reincarnated, where we ourselves just revolve, but we're not gone. We never die. We live on. What lives on is how we treat each other without looking at the color of the skin. You know, when I began the doctorate degree under your schooling, I felt the punch of several of our elder white men. But you know, God allowed me to survive it. And I'm grateful for you all that stood by me, helped me, coached me, gave me encouragement, and allowed me to endure that year and a half of study. You and Brother Colin, and Andrew, the words that you all said just at the nick of time when I was down and out. That encouragement said, keep going. And God said, you're on the right track. Behind that, God was able to allow me to help humanity to the tune of $2.2 billion, distributed to those. Some was in need and some wasn't. Some deserve it and some didn't. But that's not my problem. My problem was to serve whomever come, turn none away. Because he said, let the wheat and the tares grow together. When he comes, he'll do the separating. And he'll do the separating right. If I do it, I may get somebody that doesn't deserve to be plucked up. But we got to learn to feel with our hearts and not with our mind, even though our heart is our mind. But the inner him that is in us is much greater, because he give us a command, love ye one another as I have loved you. He set the example of how we are to do in order to be one nation under God. He set the example of how we have to live in order to be reincarnated. And that's what we are trying to do. So this is the lateness of the hour, but it is so much in this forum tonight. It's several subjects in there that could be one forum by itself. I'm truly grateful to all of you magnificent people that gather with your brilliant minds, and how you put these things together in order that we may come together to discuss, not always agree, but living in love and fellowship. That's what's important to me. And whatever God will allow me to absorb, to take to the next day or the next week in order to aid and assist in humanity, to give my brother a hand up, to help those that have no boots. Let's don't talk about straps. to feed those that are hungry, to try and house those that have no shelter, to feed those that are hungry. It doesn't matter. And we have to be very, very careful of how we treat our children, because I know what it is like to eat the crumbs from the table to fill my belly. But it allowed me to survive. And I'm a living sacrifice. Could have been dead and gone, but God let me live on. And I'm here today to tell you that that's redemption love. God let me live on. That was his redemption love. And I recognize it. I'm not an eloquent speaker, but God knows I've been through the fire and I've been tried. And God has let me live on. I will continue to do whatever I can in outreach, in these studies, or whatever, because it's an evolution of learning. It's an evolution of fellowship. It's an evolution of kinship, brotherhood, sisterhood, without noticing the color of the skin. Come on, I'll rub your feet, and I'll put the sads on it that I made from the herbs that grew in my own field. Come on, I'll feed you from the fields where I grow my greens, peas, corn, okra. Come on, I'll let you sleep in my bed and won't look at the color of your skin.
All of which she's done for me, from the feet to the sleeping in the bed. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt, dear older sister.
We're going to leave it at that. You know, God is a good God, and he has set the example. All we have to do is to continue to do his will. And as I go to tonight, I want to say, may God protect and guide each of us as we continue the journey of humanity. One nation, under God, and with truth, grace, and mercy. May it be with you as we depart for this night and until we meet again. Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You had a wonderful cheerleader, Queen Mother, all along in Antonia. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm going to ask if you, having received the first doctorate degree, if you would mentor Antonia inwardly, because she's now going to be following in your footsteps to getting a degree, the Queen of Harlem. If you would mentor her, she was cheering you on the whole way. We'll talk about that later. But I want friends
I'm available to do whatever I can.
Good.
Well, I'm
Good.
following in your footsteps, Queen Mother. Oh, this was so empowering.
Congratulations.
Encouraging. I just felt so fulfilled, and I thank you for taking the time. I want to cry right now, but I thank you for
Congratulations.
service to us and to bring your wisdom to us, because we need your wisdom. We stand on your shoulders. And I think that's what young people don't understand. Like, for us, nothing is ever going to be easy. But from your heart, the elders' hard work, we get to have a little bit more, I guess, freedom. And but we do stand on your shoulders, and we have to acknowledge you for all the work that you've put in your lifetime for us to be here. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have met you on this Zoom, and I'm grateful to Stu for having this platform for us. And I am
Humble.
so encouraged. Girl, you started preaching. I was like,
I'm
let's
humble.
church.
But I want to tell you one thing, Antonia. It's not easy.
I know it's
It's
not.
not easy. And I'm gonna tell you, the hardest thing for me
Mhm.
was when Judge Wallace and the other judge give me a 38. They gave me a 38 pistol that I had to tote every day.
Mhm.
And you know, by the grace of God, I
Mhm.
never had to use it. But
Mhm.
my instruction was,
Mhm.
if you're stopped, shoot first and talk later.
Mhm.
But I am grateful for a God that had redemption love
Yes.
that
Yes.
stood between me and danger. Because I went at night. I went to programs in Montgomery and everywhere. I did quite a bit of speaking back then
I
because
believe
I
it.
didn't have the head injury
Right.
and I had a much more eloquent voice. You know, I was able to correlate a lot better than I do now. I've had 2 brain injuries,
Mhm.
open heart surgery, 7 bypasses.
My Lord.
So I'm a living sacrifice.
Testimony. Yes. Yes.
God let me live on,
Yes. Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
still alive.
Yes. Yes. Um,
Beautiful.
I receive it all. I'm thankful. I'm so grateful that I'm here to hear you speak. And
But
Stu,
I'm here anytime you want to call. It doesn't matter what time of night.
thank you for being there.
If
Yes.
you need to call, call.
Beautiful. And you, Queen Mother, thereby will help to bring Zora Neale Hurston even more alive. So, Antonia, thank you. Thank you all. So, to wrap up,
Before we wrap up,
I want to give Andrew the final words, but I just want to say something briefly here. Bernice, Luis, Corin, Antonia, Darlene, Huda, Latoya, Patrick, Corin, and Andrew, would you all think of an offering you would bring in this podcast series, addressing along with the questions, and we'll have the music of the Bright Family Singers, addressing along with the 2 questions we've addressed, which are unearned suffering is redemptive, and this notion of reincarnation as a way we can fulfill our humanity, to bring any questions that you all have. And we have the possibilities through the Center for American Studies. General Arnold Gordon Bray will be part of this. John Moss, who was with us earlier, a Native American leader. But we have the possibility through our contacts of 45 years to go to Bill Ferris, the former chairman of the National Endowment of Humanities, Ronald McDowell. We can reach out to the major figures today and invite them to join us. And what we can offer them are these gifts of Dr. King's words, unearned suffering is redemptive, and this vision of reincarnation. So please, friends, all of you think about what you would contribute. And it can be a presentation, it can be music, whatever it can be. And hopefully Zora will be a thread through it. And with that, I want to turn to Andrew and give Andrew the final words in terms of next steps. And if people wish to linger, I'd like Andrew to read his piece again, which was remarkable. And then I'll offer the concluding verse. So, Andrew, the floor is yours.
well, thank you so much, Stuart, and thank everyone here for attending. It's a perfect segue because, from a housekeeping note, I wanted to share with you all what the proposed 13 episode series would address and ask if you could consider which, if any of these, you have an interest in participating with. But also keep in mind that this is a very fluid collaboration with us. So it may well be that you have something you would like to offer instead. But just give me a moment to share my screen. It's a bit slow, but it is coming. This is an attachment to an email sent earlier. But again, the idea, if this is going to be a quote podcast, our audience may not see this. so they have to hear it. And I'm going to skip over the first part here because we covered that basically here in the preface that Stuart offered. But I do want to skip down to the 13 episodes themselves.
And it can
Just a
be
moment
more than
here.
working with Marcia and others. It can be more than a podcast. And Patrick also has a lot of experience with Tuskegee virtual. So we have possibilities beyond merely podcasts.
Well, that's wonderful. And well, let me first walk through here. So, episode 1, and I'll be brief. A wounded seed, the murder of Emmett Till, and the brutal lynching of 14-year-old Emmett Till became a moral awakening for the world. This episode recounts the tragedy of how Mamie Till Mobley's public courage planted the seeds of the civil rights movement. And then Unearned Suffering, number 2, a theology of redemptive witness, exploring Dr. King's famous phrase and its biblical and moral foundations in liberation theology, sacrifice, and spiritual justice. 3, Blood That Speaks, from Crispus Attucks to Emmett Till. America's history of martyrdom begins with Crispus Attucks, who was, in fact, an African American but of Indigenous descent as well. This episode connects the dots between foundational sacrifices and a nation's spiritual reckoning. Number 4, Bearing the Cross, Black Mothers and Martyrdom, centering the sacred witness of Black mothers, Mamie Till, Sabrina Fulton, and others, whose grief and love challenged systems of violence and birthed movements. The Sounds of Suffering, music as lament and liberation. From Negro spirituals to Kendrick Lamar, music has channeled grief into prophecy. This episode explores sound as a tool of resistance and redemption. George Floyd, the public execution echoes Till. An in-depth look at how George Floyd's murder mirrored Emmett Till's and how global outrage sparked a renewed demand for justice. 7, the Gospel of the Wounded. Faith leaders respond. Pastors, rabbis, imams, and indigenous elders discuss the moral crisis of our time and how healing must begin with truth and faith. Number 8, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion on trial. The suppression of redemptive history. As DEI programs are rolled back, this episode critiques the political erasure of race-based suffering and its redemptive lessons for the nation. 9, Youth as Prophets. From Ferguson to TikTok, young activists reflect on their place and the legacy of unearned suffering, how they carry forward the spiritual change and spiritual charge of prior generations. Number 10, Tuskegee, Truth, and the Cost of Silence. Examining the moral damage of government betrayal through the Tuskegee experiment and the spiritual implications of silence. 11, Reparative Justice as Redemption. Beyond monetary reparations, this episode imagines justice as a redemptive process of acknowledgement, repentance, and relationship building. And just as an aside, Gil Scott-Heron was famous for his song, How Do I Get Reparations for My Soul? Number 12, From the Cross to the Covenant, a call for renewal exploring how the moral power of the crucified, wounded, and wronged calls the nation to a new civic covenant for justice and peace. And finally, 13, The Conquered Covenant, keeping the faith after 70 years, concluding with a vision how communities across America can embrace remembrance, dialogue, and healing through the Center's National Forum on Race, leading up to America 250 and beyond.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Andrew, thank you for that remarkable work. So friends, if those are themes that you feel you can speak to at least once, this will be ongoing. I think this series till Kingdom Come. We'd love to hear from you. If you have your own suggestions, don't feel you need to be framed into anything. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have insights to offer on this theme of unearned suffering and reincarnation, we'd love to hear from you. So with that, I'm going to formally bring it to an end with a verse by friend Rudolf Steiner that some of you are familiar with. And then those who wish to linger informally can do so. Those who need to move on. And again, Huta and Latoya, I left you a chat regarding Orland. Those who need to conclude the evening can do so. So I'll say the final verse, and then we can, those who wish to linger, we can chat a bit. The verse goes as follows. I bear my sorrows into the setting sun. I lay all my worries into its shining lap. Purified in light, transformed in love, they will return, my sorrows and worries, in the morning as helping thoughts, as strength for deeds, rejoicing in sacrifice. So once more, without the insertions, I bear my sorrows into the setting sun. I lay all my worries into its shining lap, purified in light, transformed in love. They will return as helping thoughts, as strength for deeds, rejoicing in sacrifice. So thank you, friends. Thank you, particular Andrew, for this inspiration. Those who wish to stay and chat are welcome to do so. Those who need to turn in, it's late in Bermuda. We're very glad to have you, Corin, Huda, and Latoya. So the floor is open for any chat.